I've got a quick tier list to make. I want to rank every single Pokemon game I've ever played. Since the Switch 2 just came out and there's a new Pokemon game on the horizon, I wanted to take some time to just like look back at all the games that I played, because I played a lot of Pokemon. I've played a ton of regular Pokemon games and also fan-made Pokemon games, ROM hacks and fan games. And I think it's interesting to talk about the pros and cons and like what I like and dislike in a Pokemon game generally. And also it's interesting to go back and relive some memories. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So tier list time. We've got all the Pokemon games we've ever played right here on this list, and we need to define the tiers. So top tier, S tier, obviously. That's premium game, best game out there. You should play this. A tier is a very good game. It's not the cream of the crop, but it's a very well-made game and I enjoy it. B tier, average. And then C tier is below average. I don't really like it. And then F tier is complete butt. We're changing D to F. And then actually I need to add a new tier because I'm seeing the first game, which is Pokemon Red, which I've actually barely played. I don't even know. I made this list myself and I put Pokemon Red in here, and I haven't really played it enough to know. I only played it for my video where I tried to catch every Magikarp in every Pokemon game, and I played it very briefly because I only got the old rod and then caught the Magikarp, and then I stopped playing. So I don't really have any opinions on the old school games. I think they have a lot of problems, but they're the OGs, but I can't really speak to it. They originated the series, but they have old game problems. I think that also goes for the next one on the list, which is Pokemon Crystal. Pokemon Crystal has a lot of nostalgia for me. This is the first Pokemon game that I played seriously as a child. I put in a lot of time into Crystal. And also I should say, for each of these generations, we are taking one game and ranking it, but that goes for all three of the games. So this is Gold, Silver, and Crystal combined into one thing. Basically the Generation 2 games, for brevity's sake. Crystal is a fantastic game, but it still has those old game problems. And it's not a game I would pick up and play still to this day. I would probably not go back to it over, say, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I would probably play Heart Gold, Soul Silver over top of Crystal. But for nostalgia's sake, it's worth checking out. You know what I mean? Like if you're a completionist and you're into that sort of thing. It also is really cool because they did the whole thing where you get to play through all of Johto, right? And once you beat the main game, then there's like a whole second game. You basically get the whole first generation included with the second generation game, which is amazing. So Crystal is good. It's not amazing though. I'm going to put it in B tier. B tier I think is where the old games belong. All right. And now moving right along, Gen 3, Pokemon Emerald. This is Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. This is actually what we're doing in our Soul Link Nuzlocke, me and TJ currently. And this was when I got a little bit older. I got a Game Boy Advance. I would play Crystal on it until I got Ruby and Sapphire. I had Ruby originally, and Ruby was the game. I think this is when Pokemon really hit its stride. The graphical fidelity went up because we got the colors. We got the vibrant world. Hoenn is amazing. Hoenn is a great region. Hoenn has a lot of great Pokemon. Obviously, the legendaries are fantastic. Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza. You all know I love Rayquaza. Basic as it may be, we still love Rayquaza. This is a top tier game. It really is. Gen 3 also birthed a lot of ROM hacks with it as well. Gen 3 and Gen 4 are the most nostalgic versions of Pokemon. These are the ones that people look back on the most fondly, I would say. Old heads like me. You know what I mean? Like younger generation, obviously, like whatever you grew up with. But I think the first generation of Pokemon fans, really look back fondly on Gen 3 and Gen 4. And I think Emerald is honestly just S tier. I think Ruby and Sapphire are A tier, but then Emerald fixed a lot of the problems that they had with the game. Yeah, W tier. Maybe I should change S to W tier. I'm a big fan. I don't know. What are your thoughts, chat? What do you think about Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald? You agree? Okay. So moving along from there, we have the first ROM hack on our list. The first ROM hack is Emerald Kaiso. This is actually the first ROM hack that I ever played, which is pretty interesting. I played this when I first started streaming. I played it like so casually and I just tried to beat it. I didn't know anything about Pokemon at this point, and it took me so long to beat it, but I look back on it so fondly because it changed the way that I streamed. It changed my content forever. I started making Pokemon videos from Emerald Kaiso. My first Pokemon videos were just like episodic playthroughs of Emerald Kaiso, which are unlisted now, but if you ask me nicely, I could show you them. I don't know. Maybe. Probably not, though. But Emerald Kaiso is a game that is high S. This is an unbelievably well-made ROM hack. It doesn't go too far with, like, a lot of ROM hacks have the problem of getting too far away from the core of Pokemon, which turns a lot of people off. But Emerald Kaiso is in this sweet spot where it still follows the main story of Emerald, has all the original Pokemon, the original flow of the game. It's just much harder, right? And that's why it has such universal appeal. That's why people like Pokemon challenges and those hardcore Nuzlocke people really got into making videos about this. And I think it got popular during the pandemic, and a lot of people got very, very into Pokemon because of Kaiso runs. We need an S+ tier. Actually, I'm kind of down to add an S+ tier. Let's just add a W tier above S. This is effectively S+, and Emerald Kaiso goes up there. Emerald's S, Emerald Kaiso is W. All right, those are my thoughts on Emerald Kaiso. I think that's an awesome game. If you haven't played it, I would highly suggest it. If you are casually into Pokemon and you have more of a developed prefrontal cortex, it's a great game to like get into Pokemon a little bit more and get like into the more challenging aspects of like PvE battling and develop a little bit of strategy and see like where the game can really go. So I would highly recommend that for people to play. All right, next up, we have Fire Red, Leaf Green. The first remakes in the series. Remakes of the original games. I honestly think that these games are more popular than the original games themselves because they took everything about Red, Blue, Yellow and fixed all the old janky stuff and then brought it into the modern era. The modern era being what was it, like 2004? Yeah, 2004. January 2004 was when these games were released. Just reinvented the whole original Kanto experience. And you know what else is cool about Fire Red and Leaf Green? Is they are the basis for pretty much all modern ROM hacks that are ambitious. Fire Red was, I think, the first Pokemon game to be fully decomped. It's totally editable, like highly customizable. Everything has been reverse engineered of that game. And so you're able to craft beautiful things with it. It's just so cool. It's just really, really cool. Fire Red also goes, it might go in the W tier, but I'm actually more inclined to put it in the S tier. Yeah, I think it's high S. I think it's the highest S. As a content creator, I like Fire Red, Leaf Green because you can beat it really fast. Kanto's a pretty quick region to go through. You can actually beat Fire Red and Leaf Green in like one sitting if you use fast forward and stuff in emulators. Beautiful games, redesigned all the old Pokemon, made them really nice, modernized the genre or the series a little bit, capitalized on nostalgia. Remakes are interesting because Game Freak does them a lot, but at this point, remaking was a novel concept, so that was pretty cool. Anyway, next up, we've got the second ROM hack on my list, which is Fire Red Backwards Edition. I played this game. When did I play this game? I have a video on my channel of this game from a long time ago. This was one of the first ROM hacks that I played on my Pokemon channel, not my second channel, which is Quinjamin. 2 years ago, I played this game. So let's see. Fire Red Backwards Edition. This is the video right here. We're getting an ad. You beat Crystal Kaiso Plus as a Nuzlocke, and it was deathless too. Wait, you're nasty, Slayer. How I Survived Pokemon's Most Absurd ROM Hack. This is from July 29th, 2022. That's when I played this. Basically, the idea of this game is that you go through Kanto counterclockwise way. You know how when you play Kanto games, it goes clockwise kind of? You go down to the center, and then you go around, and then you go down the bottom. There's like water down here. And then you go to Blaine's Gym, and then you go to the Elite Four. This game takes that and reverses it and like has its own storyline where the oceans have dried up and stuff and you have to go around. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens. It's not the best ROM hack ever, but it's not a bad ROM hack by any means. It's kind of funky. It's got that like unpolished quality that a lot of the less well-known ROM hacks have, where they just kind of are kind of weird. And some stuff doesn't make sense, and they have weird design decisions because it was just made by like one person. You know what I mean? So this game is probably a C tier game. I would say. I wouldn't recommend it to most people, but if you're into that kind of thing, then check it out. Okay, next game we've got is Fire Red Rocket Edition. I actually played this one recently. This is a pretty well-known one. The video is unlisted on my channel because it absolutely tanked because it had a lot of serious problems. The video had a lot of problems. The ROM hack itself is actually fire. No pun intended. It's actually really, really good. I played this in August of last year. I played this game and it rocks. This game is really, really sick. It might even be S tier. It might even be better than regular Fire Red. Basically, this is a ROM hack where you are a Team Rocket grunt and you go through the storyline of Fire Red, but from the perspective of a Team Rocket grunt. I think it's the same storyline, if I remember correctly. It's pretty popular, so you've probably seen videos of it. The game kind of rocks. It's a polished ROM hack. It had a lot of love put into it. It's pretty great. I'm kind of a huge fan of this game, and that's why it's high S. Not much else to say. It's very story driven. The battling and stuff is not that tough, but the story is top notch, and someone really poured their heart and soul into making it. So it's worthy of high S. Okay. So next up we have Pokemon Pinball. This is a game I have not spent very much time with. I played this for my How Fast Can You Catch a Magikarp in Every Pokemon game, which was pretty good. It's pinball, right? So like what really is there to add to the game of pinball? There's a lot going on under the hood. I think there's a really good video about it. Let me actually find that video. I thought there was someone who released a video about like the depth of Pokemon Pinball. I think there's a lot to get into in this game, but I personally didn't really like it. So I'm going to put it in C tier. It's got to be better than Fire Red Backwards Edition though. It certainly is better than Fire Red Backwards Edition. Might even be low B. Let's put it low B. I think that's pretty decent. That's a good place for it to fall. Okay, next up, Pokemon Stranded. This is another ROM hack. We're kind of in the ROM hack section of the video right now. Pokemon Stranded is a really interesting ROM hack. It has some very cool stuff going on. A lot of survival elements. Basically, the concept is you are someone in the Pokemon universe who gets washed up onto a deserted island, I think. And there's very minimal battling. It's more about like exploring the island and discovering like what's going on there and like using items in interesting ways to like go through puzzles. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not your traditional Pokemon game. I'll say that much. With the first time that I ever played it, my save got corrupted. And I got really mad, so I stopped playing it. But other than that, I think it's pretty sweet. Sounds like Legends Arceus. It's kind of like Legends Arceus, but it's like a 2D Pokemon game where, yeah, it's not about catching Pokemon, though. It's really not about catching Pokemon. It's just really about, like, getting to different areas of the island and, like, interacting with Pokemon to, like, have them take you to different spots and finding your way through where you are, like, the island that you're on. I think this is honestly the first A tier game on this list. I think it's not my favorite game of all time. I don't think there's much replayability, but there's a lot of secrets and a lot of fun stuff that you can get into in this game. So I'm a fan. I would recommend it, but it's like kind of a non-traditional experience. Alrighty. Next up, we've got Pokemon Moon Emerald. This was actually the very first ROM hack that I played on my main Pokemon channel. Pokemon Moon Emerald. I don't really remember what the concept of this game is. I might have to Google it really fast. But the main thing I remember about it is it has an elevated shiny rate. So I did a shiny only playthrough, which was great. It was like 1 in 256 or something. So it made catching shinies really fast. So 3 years ago I played this. Pokemon Moon Emerald, but I can only use shiny Pokemon. May 28th of 2022. That was 3 years ago. That sure was 3 years ago. Let me Google what the concept of this is. So Pokemon Moon Emerald. What? Give me the description. So it's basically you play through Emerald, but you can get Generation 7 Pokemon. It's like Pokemon Emerald, but there's Gen 7 mons in it, which is pretty sweet. And nothing crazy that I remember. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I think there are also Mega Evolutions in it, which is pretty novel. I'd put it in the B tier. It's all right. It's probably below Pokemon Pinball, though. I'm not going to lie. Wait, do I not have Pokerogue on this list? Oh, I need to add Pokerogue. All right, next up we have Pokemon Emerald Rogue. Not to be confused with Rogue. Pokemon Emerald Rogue is a game where it's a roguelike Pokemon game where you progress through different areas and catch Pokemon. Then you go through tough battles. And actually, let me just pull up my video on it so you can see kind of like what the map looks like. It's pretty interesting the way that they structured it. It was built on the Pokemon Emerald engine, so it is a little bit more limited than what they've done with Rogue, but it has more exploration elements. Like Rogue doesn't have a lot of exploration. It's very battle focused, but Pokemon Emerald Rogue has more like grass areas and like areas where you can pick up items like a more traditional Pokemon game. Rogue definitely W tier. Yeah. We'll get to that, but spoiler alert, it probably is W tier. Let me find my Rogue video. Oh yeah. So my video is I attempted the new Pokemon roguelike. It's insane. So let me show you the like overworld map. So basically you go through this overworld and you like select different routes to go on to catch Pokemon. So like this one's a tough corrosive route. And you'll go through these, and then you'll eventually get to like this layer, which is like shopkeepers and stuff. And then at the end of each of these overworld maps, there are gym leaders. Yeah, so there's a gym leader at the end of each area. It's really cool. I think they have updated it recently and like made it more modern and more interesting. This one's an S tier. It's really fun. It's really, really fun. The problem is it's just, when I played it, it wasn't super polished, but it's still very interesting, very hard. I've never beaten it, I'll say that much, but I would go back to it 100%. I probably should go back to it. I should go back to it now that they've updated it. Actually high A. For when I played it, it was high A. All right, next up we got Pokemon Orange Islands. This is a ROM hack that follows the storyline of, I think, the anime season 2 goes into the Pokemon Orange Islands. Any anime heads in chat, let me know. Basically what they did is they took the Fire Red engine and built the entire Orange Island storyline within the game. It's pretty solid. It's not, doesn't do anything particularly well other than like the story events, which building them in the Fire Red engine, there's like cutscenes and stuff in this game that are really beautiful, especially given the fact that they built them into a Game Boy Advance game. I think that's pretty amazing, but I don't think I would ever play this again because it's story driven and there's not much to it other than like following the storyline, and I already know the storyline, so I'm like done with it. And the game's not particularly hard or challenging in any way, but it's really good. If you're a fan of the anime, you would really like it. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. It's above Pokemon Pinball, but below Pokemon Crystal. I would recommend it, but I don't think it's like the most perfect game ever. Next up, we have Pokemon Fused Dimensions. Not to be confused with Pokemon Infinite Fusion. Pokemon Fused Dimensions is the first Pokemon Fusion game that I played. I played this one, let's check, a long time ago. A really, really long time ago. This was maybe the second ROM hack that I played. And for me, it was interesting because it was the first thumbnail that I had an animator work on, and it turned out really good. Actually, was this the first thumbnail I had an animator? It's not the first thumbnail I had an animator work on. I lied to you. Basically, this game is like Pokemon Infinite Fusion, but it doesn't have infinite fusions. It has fusions of Pokemon that the creators of the game made. So you don't get to fuse any Pokemon you want. There's already just fused Pokemon that exist in the game, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Really fun. Not the most polished thing ever, but the fusions are really cool. So I would recommend it, but since there's already like a superior fusion game out there in Pokemon Infinite Fusion, I can't say that it's the best game ever. I think this is a C tier game. I think it's above Fire Red Backwards Edition, or it's low B. Let's see. So you can see some of the fusions here that they have. Like, maybe you can fuse anything you want. Oh, I remember this. This Venusaur. This is Venusaur and some steel type or something. But you can see that they're really well made fused sprites. The game was kind of hard, and there were a lot of interesting battles and stuff, but it was not the greatest game I've ever played. Oh yeah, there's a Charizard and Gallade. That was the starter that I chose. Or Charizard and Ralts, and you can have it be Gallade or Gardevoir, I think, which is pretty cool. Anyway, this is it's a C tier game. Anyway, Now we're back to the mainline games with probably most people's favorite generation. This is Gen 4. Gen 4, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. This is a lot of people's favorite generation. I have no nostalgia for this. I stopped playing Pokemon when I was a kid around the Game Boy Advance games. I think Fire Red, Leaf Green was the last game I played. And then the DS games, I had a DS, but I never got the Pokemon games for it. So I don't really have that much affinity for it. I didn't play these games until I was an adult. But what Gen 4 does really well is it added the physical special split to the moves, which really changed the game. Before that, physical and special attacks were determined off of type of the Pokemon's attack, which means like fire type moves were always special. And so if you had a physical fire attacker, it doesn't really do anything. It's like actually useless. Like Flareon, for example, is like not a very good Pokemon before they made the physical special split. But in Gen 4, they changed that and they improved the entire formula. It was the first like 2.5D game. Is this 2.5D? Pokemon Platinum. Oh yeah. You can see like it's got this cool art style where it's like 2.5D. The DS afforded a lot of things for the game. Pokemon Platinum actually expanded the storyline pretty well beyond Diamond and Pearl. They were good, but the remakes were trash. You say B tier? Yeah, I think I agree with B tier. I actually almost am like low A on these. I think the things that it did really well. And I think Gen 4 Mons are pretty memorable. But yeah, really good. Really good. Low A, probably. Yeah, Gen 4 is great. And Gen 4 really shines in the Heart Gold Soul Silver remakes, which are the next games on the tier list. These are the remakes of Gen 2, but on the DS. Really high quality. Fantastic games. Big fan of these ones. A lot of people love these. Potentially the best remakes ever for Pokemon. That might be controversial, but I think I feel comfortable saying that. I think they're really strong. I think they're probably S tier. Probably above Emerald version, if I'm being honest. I think Fire Red's the bottom of S tier too. I think these are amazing. They're so good. Such a faithful recreation of the Gen 2 games and really just brought them to life in a way that they weren't brought to life because of the limitations of Game Boy Color. Changed the game. Really changed the game. It's where Game Freak really started to hit their stride with the 3D, the 2.5D animation stuff. Really strong. Really, really strong. Logan, I can't add Let's Go Pikachu because I've never played it, unfortunately. Anyway, next up, we've got Pokemon Black and White 1. Pokemon Black and White 1. And these, there's a whole bunch of video essays made on the Gen 5 Pokemon games and how they were a huge departure from the original formula. They changed up what they were doing. They kind of scrapped everything that they had done in the past, right? They didn't have any original Pokemon available in the original Black and White games. You could only catch Pokemon from Unova, or whatever, Unova. These games are probably the Pokemon games that had the most ambition from the team, other than like the original creation of the games. They have some of the most beautiful sprites. They're all fully animated, like in the world. Like the way the art style of Pokemon Black and White is so incredible. The problem is it strayed too far in a lot of people's minds. When it originally released, people hated this game because there were none of the familiar faces, right? Like they had access to Pikachu, the most famous animated character probably in the world. It rivals like Mario or like or Sonic or like these mainline mascots, but they left him behind. And I respect that, but I think that Black and White were not quite as good as they could have been. They're probably A tier, probably slightly better than, I think they're the top of A tier. Now, Black and White 2 is when they really figured out the formula here. Because they took all the things that they did right in Black and White. Amazing story, great design, beautiful art style. The Unova region is probably the most beautiful region in the entire history of Pokemon. These are, in my opinion, the most beautiful games that have ever been made. And what they did in Black and White 2 is they took all their mistakes and removed them. And they just made like a perfect Pokemon game. Black and White 2 are W tier. Absolutely incredible game. Absolutely unbelievable, dude. Like, would recommend if anyone is trying to play a regular Pokemon game and get back into it and they haven't played Black and White 2, that's my number one recommendation, is that you go and check out Black and White 2 over any other game. It's absolutely beautiful. Unbelievable game, good difficulty, beautiful art style, best region. The new Mons, I really like them. I mean, Garbodor, pile of garbage Pokemon. Are you kidding me? Incredible. Can't beat it, to be honest with you. You cannot beat it. And that's why it's W tier. We love Pokemon Black and White 2. There's a whole video essay that I watched about all the things that it does right, and I pretty much agree with that entirely. I'm going to see if I can link that in the description or put it in the edit for the YouTube video. But that is just a beautiful, amazing game. Anyway, moving right along, we've got Pokemon Ranger. I couldn't get it to work on my emulator. I just put it on here because I have actually loaded up the game and played the tutorial. I just couldn't get the game to work, really. So it just goes into barely played. All right, we're leaving the DS behind. We're going to Gen 6 now. We're going all the way to Pokemon X and Y, which are the 3DS games. Now, these are interesting. There's a lot to love in Pokemon X and Y. A lot to love. Mega Evolutions. Fully 3D for the first time. You can rollerblade around. It's set in a region inspired by France, which, you know, that's fine if you're into that kind of thing. Cool new Pokemon. Mega Evolutions are very awesome. People love Mega Evolutions. People love these games. There's just a lot of story in these games. This is where Pokemon really started to get into, like, a lot of dialogue. A lot of dialogue, a lot of hand-holding. These games take a long time to play. My perspective on these is different because I didn't play them as a kid. I've only played them as an adult, as a professional Pokemon player, effectively. And they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're good. They added Greninja. You're right, Potato King. They did add Greninja. This was the first time that since I guess they added Steel type in Gen 2, right? Or was that Gen 3? Gen 2 added Steel type. And then they added another type with the Fairy type in Gen 6, which the Fairy type, love it or hate it, did a lot for the balance of Pokemon. It actually helped out the balance of competitive Pokemon quite a bit because dragons were overpowered. Gen 2 added Steel and Dark. Okay, so Gen 2 added 2 types, and then they added a new type in Gen 6, which I think was a good addition, though people don't really like the Fairy type that much. But I personally am a fan of the Fairy type. I think that Pokemon was in need of a balance, and they did a good job with it. They changed up some old Pokemon to add Fairy types, which makes more sense, like Clefairy and Clefable being normal types was kind of weird. Like, them being Fairy types is better. It fits more. X and Y, in my opinion, is probably A tier. It's probably the top of A tier. I think there's some serious flaws that hold it back. I think it's a little too easy. I think it's also, like, just a little bit too talky. Like, there's a little bit too much dialogue, in my opinion, but I do still like it. I think it's a beautiful game. I wish that I could play it. I wish that I had played it on original hardware so that it worked perfectly. Like, on emulators, there's a lot of glitchiness because of the way it's animated that holds it back in my mind. But then we get to the next 3DS Pokemon game, which is Alpha Sapphire Omega Ruby. Gen 3 remakes in full 3D with Mega Evolutions, with extra stuff on top. These games absolutely rip. These games are incredible. A faithful adaptation of Ruby and Sapphire with tasteful additions on top. I love these games. I think they are so good. These are some of the best Pokemon games that have been made recently. Probably S tier. Yeah, I agree. I think they're top of S tier, to be honest with you. I think they're probably the best remakes of all time. Yes, I'm gonna say they're the best remakes of all time. Maybe that's because of my nostalgia for the Gen 3 region for Hoenn, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I really enjoy playing these. I really, really do. And speaking of things that I enjoy, let's go to some things that I don't really enjoy, which are the Sun and Moon games and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I'm going to rank these together because I actually don't know the difference between Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I really don't. Like, what's the difference here? Can someone tell me what Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon changed from Sun and Moon? Alola is kind of cool. It's a cool region. There's just so much talking in these games. They're so slow to play. There's so much dialogue. There's so much random stuff that happens, and I just don't care about any of it. I just simply cannot be bothered. There's like the storytelling in old Pokemon games. Like I think about Gen 3 and I think of this kind of like mysterious world with all these secrets. Like unlocking the Regis was so cool. You had to do like specific puzzles that were kind of like hard to solve and interesting. And like if you didn't have a walkthrough, it was like really hard to get into the like Regi rooms. And like diving, like unlock this whole extra world on top of the world, like going underwater and checking out what's down there. And I think that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Sun and Moon generally just like took all that mystery out. It's like, okay, here's exactly what's happening. Here's exactly why it's bad. Here's exactly what you should think. Here's every single line in the story written out in text, and you have to click through it. You can't skip it. It's not good. It's not very good. What they did do well is they kind of innovated on the gym format. It's 4 island kahunas now, right? And then you have like the ultra Pokemon or the totem Pokemon that you have to fight as well. It flipped the format. It changed the format up, which was cool. I'm into that, but I'm not too into that. Okay, the Ultra games have more Pokemon and dialogue. The original Sun and Moon have the better story, but then you miss out on encounters. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. It was kind of like Black and White where they had less Pokemon. That makes sense. Too much talking in the addition of the people from Ultra Space. Yeah, the Ultra Space spacemen are just like weird and random. I don't know. I guess we'll put Sun and Moon above them. Ah, dude, I think they're C tier. I think they're bottom of C tier. They might even deadass be an F. They spoil you on the story from the intro scene too. Yeah, exactly. Like the first cutscene, which is like 10 minutes long, is like is the girl running away with the Pokemon with Cosmom or whatever. Yeah, it's not very good. Not for me. I think they're bottom of C tier, to be honest with you. I've played them a lot too. For whatever reason. I don't know why I played them so much. Lily. Yeah, that's the girl. Is it Lily? No, it's not Lily. That's not her name, is it? Maybe we put Ultra Moon in the bottom. No, I'm going to rank them together. Anyway, that's my thought on Gen 7. I don't really like Alolan Mons that much. I don't really like the original designs from these Pokemon. They added a lot of stupid ones that I really don't like. Like, Klefki's not from this. Klefki's Gen 6. Like Lurantis. Like, who cares, man? Who cares? Lily and Cosmog? Okay. Anyway, that's enough ranting about Gen 7. Next up, we've got another ROM hack. Hi, Simple Sphere. How's it going? Next up, we have another ROM hack, which is Pokemon Snakewood. And this is one that I played on stream. I never actually made a video of it because I got so burnt out playing it. This is a notorious ROM hack, and it's notorious for being the worst ROM hack ever made. It's kind of memed on. It's like, you know the movie The Room, which is a movie that they study in film school for being just bad, like the stereotypical bad movie, or the archetypical bad movie. That's what Pokemon Snakewood is for ROM hacks. It doesn't make any sense. It's too long. There's a lot of crap in it, not polished. It just is terrible. It's awful. It's edgy. It's too edgy for its own good. It tries to be, I don't know. It's kind of like got Death Note vibes in that way. And so this is our first F tier right there. It's not great. It's really not great. I would not recommend anyone play it, and I never finished it. So with that, we have reached the area of Pokemon fan games. These are not ROM hacks. These are standalone games that have been made in like RPG Maker, where people have gone through and designed their own entire regions with new Pokemon, new storylines, custom sprites, all sorts of amazing stuff. The first one that we have is kind of a hitter. That's Pokemon Infinite Fusion. You have probably seen Pokemon Infinite Fusion. You've probably played it, but if you haven't, you probably have seen content of it. Basically, the concept is you can take any two Pokemon in the entire Pokemon world and you can fuse them together into one Pokemon. So there are like tens of thousands of sprites that are custom that have been made for this game that are just insane. This game rips. There's not a lot of customs. There's not a lot of special story here, but the way that they executed the Pokemon fusions is incredible. And if you haven't seen it or played it, you gotta go check it out. W tier. Infinite Fusion is a masterpiece. And it has taken the work of, I think, dozens of people, if not hundreds of people, have designed sprites for this game. It's really, really great. Would highly recommend. Next up, we've got Pokemon Infinity. This is a game that I played a long time ago. What's up, Alpha? How you doing? Fan game, custom region. It's got the typical story of you wake up with amnesia and you're on some mysterious islands or something. It's very good from what I remember. It's got a pretty cool storyline. It's got some pretty cool custom Pokemon. I don't remember too much more other than that. I remember like Professor Thorn is the professor in the region, and I think any game where they go through and design their own custom region and make a game from scratch, like, I mean, it's already pretty good, right? It's already at least high B. This one is pretty quick to play through. It struck me decently well, but you can see that I don't remember a ton from it. So for that reason, I'm going to put it into, it's high B or low A. I'll put it low A because I respect that game a lot. I think it's very beautiful and very cool. It's just not the most memorable fan game I've ever played, but amazing game. Would recommend people check it out. Incredible. So next up, we've got another fan game. This is Pokemon Xenoverse. This is actually the first Pokemon fan game I played, I think. This is a game designed by, I think that they're Italian, the team that made this. They're either Italian or Spanish. And this one is really cool. This one has more custom Pokemon. I think Pokemon Infinity uses a lot of original Pokemon, and they have regional variants and they have new Pokemon designs. But Pokemon Xenoverse has like a ton of new Pokemon in it. I really loved the story of this. There's fully animated cutscenes in this game, which I can just put the intro up on screen for the video. Let's actually watch the intro. Check this out. It's so sick. Like, tell me you don't want to play that game from that intro cutscene. You kidding me? That thing rips. They also added the drop a north streams before you leave. Bye, Alpha. They also added a new type. They added the sound type, which is insane. Super sick. There's like battles where you have to go and fight like gigantic Pokemon. There's huge set pieces. The game is sick. The game is so good, man. Hold on, I gotta find my scene again. It's so sick. It's high S tier. It's probably better than Fire Red Rocket Edition, but worse than Alpha Sapphire. I'll put it right there. I love that game. Would highly recommend Pokemon Xenoverse. All right. Enough with the fan games. That's all the fan games that I've played. We've got to get rolling here because I've got to start Nuzlocking in just a few minutes. The next game on the list is Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go. People love Pokemon Go. I lived in San Francisco for a summer. I was an intern in my junior year of college. I lived in downtown San Francisco. The summer that Pokemon Go came out, and I kid you not, the first week or 2 weeks that it was out, the streets were flooded with people who were just like this. People, like, you couldn't get external batteries because people were just buying them up to play more Pokemon Go. I remember walking down the Embarcadero in San Francisco, playing Pokemon Go, catching Pokemon. It was unbelievable. I lived through Pokemon Go to the polls. It was a generational moment. One of the greatest moments in gaming, honestly. One of the most transformative moments in gaming. I would highly recommend Pokemon Go. I love Pokemon Go. I don't know what the state of it is right now. I haven't played in a long time, but it's a great game to play with anyone. Like my little cousins play. Like, it's a great game for us to play. Like, if we're out somewhere just like messing around, you just pull out Pokemon Go and they'll have a great time just catching Pokemon like at the park or whatever. This is a W tier. Innovative, amazing. I don't know what's going on with it these days, but like for the moment when it came out, it was pretty sweet. Someone in chat named I Play Pokemon Go said it's got like no people playing. Well, you're playing, right? Based off your username. Anyway, fire game. Probably not better than these other games, but really good. I don't play to this day, but I like it. All right, next up we've got the Switch Pokemon games. We've got Pokemon Sword and Shield. Pokemon Sword and Shield. These games were a little bit clowned on when they came out. You know, there's the whole like discourse around the textures being too low res or whatever. But I really like these games. I look back on them very fondly. I think they're quite good. I would recommend people play them. I think they have the same problem that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon have, where there's a lot of dialogue, but it's less annoying than those games. And I think this was they introduced the wild area in these games, which is basically like an area where you can catch all different types of Pokemon and just wander around, and Pokemon are in the overworld. This was the first experience with like overworld Pokemon. And that's pretty innovative. I think it's very interesting. There's a lot of DLC for this game, which, you know, like it or leave it based off of like having to buy stuff for your game. The DLCs are pretty good. They had a lot of Pokemon in these games. Dynamax is an okay mechanic, which is the gimmick for this generation. I've played a lot of Pokemon Sword, and I honestly like it. I can't really complain. I'm going to put Pokemon Sword probably in low A. I think it's cool. I don't think it changed the game up too much, but it paved the way for the Pokemon that we have today, which we'll get to. All right, next up we've got Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. These were the first Pokemon games that I was making that came out. These were the first Pokemon games that came out while I was making Pokemon content. So this was the first release cycle that I actually got to experience firsthand. And, you know, the chibi art style is controversial. It's a little bit jank. They're not really that loved. Alpha is saying trash F tier. I like them more than F tier. I think what's cool about them is probably not something that Nintendo intended to do, but they are made in Unity. So there's a lot of really good mods for these games, which is not the most accessible thing because they're on Switch. So you need like a modded Switch or a Switch emulator, which is not that easy for people to get. But the mods are really good. And that's the only thing keeping it out of the F tier. I think they're pretty bad. In terms of remakes, these are the worst remakes ever made, which is really unfortunate. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Next up, we've got Pokémon Legends Arceus. Pokémon Legends Arceus. The first Legends game, which is cool. They changed up the format. It's all about catching and exploring the world. And this is the first, like, pseudo open world Pokemon game, right? You've got the new catching mechanics where you have to actually aim the ball and throw the ball at them in the overworld. There's some, like, interesting, like, Dark Souls-esque boss fights, which are pretty cool. I don't hate it. I think people really love Legends Arceus. I love it a little bit less than the average individual. But I have a different relationship with this game than most people, right? I play it for content. So I played a lot of it. And I think it's a little bit slow-paced, to be honest with you, but I like what they did. Such a great S-tier game. It was so fun playing through it. Yes, great game to play through one time. Great game. Sorry, I thought I heard the tornado sirens. Great game to play through one time. Not the best game to play through 10 times. I'll say that much. But still fire. It's low S. It's low S. And I'm really excited for the next Legends game, which is coming out in, what, November? Legends ZA. So, with that being said, oh, they also introduced, like, what, ride Pokemon? You can glide around the world. The areas are pretty compelling in this game. The art style is cool. I like the way that they integrated the music with the battling. The battles are, like, less turn-based, but more, like, based off speed. You can take multiple turns. It was a cool innovation on the format. They tested out a lot of stuff, which I think went pretty well. Nice games. And that brings us to the most modern Pokemon game that we have out right now. That is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the first truly open world Pokemon game. Man, this one is pretty mid. I'm not going to lie. I have played this game a lot. I have played a lot of Scarlet and Violet. I put a lot of hours into this sucker. There's a lot of things to like about it, but there's also a lot of things to hate about it. There's a lot of jank in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It had a really buggy release. It maybe came out a little bit too early. The world is maybe not that compelling. But for the first open world Pokemon game, it's not the worst thing ever. There's some interesting gym leader battles. There's some cool stuff that they did. Open world in general is pretty nice. Not that innovative, but it's pretty nice to go around and just see things out in the world. See cool Pokemon and experience like a living, breathing region. Yeah, I think I agree with chat saying that it's B tier. I think it's above all of these games. I think it's like literally the same tier as Crystal in my mind, but I have to put it slightly above just because of the open world. B tier for you, there's so much to do. Yeah, there is a decent amount to do. It's pretty replayable. There's a lot that you can just pick up and play. I just don't think like that the storyline is that compelling. The whole thing is like, you know, it's pretty straightforward, the game. But they did innovate on the format a little bit. It does have a lot of story. A lot of story. A lot of talking in Pokemon Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it's not the best story. Not the best story. I don't hate it, don't love it. But I have, again, I will preface this with the fact that I have a very different relationship with Scarlet and Violet than many of you probably have, given that I've had, I've logged, dozens of playthroughs at this point. So, last game on our list, the game that I've been playing the most recently. This is the fan game Pokerogue, baby. Pokerogue. Maybe I might be in the honeymoon period with this game, but this might be the best Pokemon game ever made, dude. This might be the best game I've ever played. It kind of tickles a lot of the parts of my brain that games that I really love tickle. I love roguelikes. I love roguelite progression where you can progress through multiple runs, but you reset all the way to the beginning of the run. I love discovering little secrets in the gameplay. There's a lot of depth in this game, more than I thought there would be. And it's pretty fire. I'm not going to lie.